quarterback would play bad, and a bunch of Niner fans would be like, boom, sucks to be you. We got Brock Purdy, who's done so many great things in the playoffs. Herbert went down. He hasn't played well in the playoffs. Love went down. That was embarrassing. Then Jayden Daniels, Sunday Night Football, down in the fourth quarter, brings him back, has a freaking great game. And I think we're starting to look at what a really great quarterback, young one, looks like. Here's a stat. Jayden Daniels this season, when tied or down by one score in the fourth quarter or overtime. This is courtesy of Josh Dubow, Associated Press. So down by one score in the fourth quarter. Just not two, just time to make a comeback. This is Daniels this year, 40 of 59, 551 yards in the air, 6 touchdowns, 2 picks, 117.3 rating, 5 comeback wins. Here's Purdy in his career in the same situation. 3 wins, 10 losses, and a quarterback rating of like 66. So, who's better?
He's the exact opposite of Brock Purdy. Here's another statistic. Jayden Daniels, if you add, I forget who it was. If you add like Brady, Joe Montana, Patrick Mahomes, if you add up all their games where they had 0 punts and 0 turnovers, Daniels had more this year than they've had throughout all their careers combined. Jayden Daniels is the quarterback I told everybody before the season is going to be the best rookie quarterback this year, and I was right about it, and I have to point that out because I'm wrong a lot. But if the question is, would I rather have Daniels than Purdy, which I think we were super chatted and asked, I would much rather have Daniels than Brock Purdy. I'm sorry, I just would. I know it's a rookie season, and he could fall off next year, but from what I've seen from Daniels and Purdy over 2.5 seasons, Daniels over 1, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to Daniels because what you want is guys that can win when it matters.
It seems to me there's a lot of good quarterbacks or quarterbacks who can be good in optimum situations. Darnold, Purdy, Dak. Like, if you give these guys a good offensive line and a defense and a weapon, they'll win. Russell Wilson, there's a lot of good quarterbacks out there, but you're looking for guys who can be top 5. These are every team is. And I think a lot of teams get fooled giving away these huge contracts to quarterbacks that are good but not great. And what makes a quarterback great? To me, it's this stuff. It's what do you do if you're not on the best team and maybe you got some injuries around you and you happen to be down by 4 in the fourth quarter? Like, that's when the game just started. Are you the kind of guy that we feel confident in, the team feels confident in, you're confident, and you can win in these situations? Because that's, I think, what you're paying for if you're giving $250 million to a quarterback, a guy who can win more times than not in that situation. And there's like 2, maybe 3. Mahomes can do it. It seems like Jayden Daniels can do it. I bet you Josh Allen's numbers suck in those situations. I bet Joe Burrow's numbers suck in those situations. Like, that's the real measure of someone who's truly generational. I mean, and Niner fans should know that. That's what made Joe Montana Joe Montana. If you're just good in the first half and you crumble in the second half, you're not Joe Montana.
That's what made Montana, Brady,
Montana.
Brady, and Mahomes. That's what they do. They win when it matters most. And so far, in the brief sample size, that's what we've seen from Jayden Daniels in his rookie season has been unbelievable, man. So, yeah, I mean, and he's on a rookie contract. So Commanders are in great shape, man. They found a really talented quarterback. He's on a rookie contract. They got years to go. Shout out to Adam Peters. I mean, he did his thing. He nailed that pick.
And here's why it's so really almost impossible to win a Super Bowl spending $55 million a year on a quarterback who's not a Hall of Famer. Because while you're spending that much money on your good, not great quarterback, there's going to be 3, maybe 4 future Hall of Famers in the league right now making about the same, maybe a tiny bit less. And there's going to be 1, maybe 2 quarterbacks who are every bit as good as your guy, but making a fraction of what he's making because he's on a rookie deal. So where do you fit in? You lose in the first round of the playoffs if you make it there.
I'm honestly like I tweeted it out. I know it's an extreme philosophy, but it's like never pay a quarterback that's not elite. Never do it. Don't do it.
Ever.
Draft
Now,
a rookie.
you could pay him maybe like 2-year deal, something real flexible that you could get out of, but not $50 million a year. Never that. If you want to give him wide receiver money, that's a different conversation. But this quarterback market that everyone says that you got to get into, it's the price. Nah, fuck that.
Don't participate. Don't participate in that shit.
You're in real estate.
Right.
This seems like an awful bubble that you don't need to be in. Oh, you got to buy this 2-bedroom house for $5 million. No, you don't. It's a 2-bedroom house. Don't do it.
Yeah. What's going on with NFL quarterbacks right now, if you want to refer to real estate, was buying a house in 2007. Right.
Yeah.
That's what it feels right now. But
subprime mortgages.
Paying for these quarterbacks, like it's going to turn around. Like in general, buying real estate is different because it's almost always a sound investment over time. Even if you bought in 2007, now your investment would still be worth more than it was after the crash. So it's a little different with real estate, but with quarterbacks, you don't have to participate. I'm telling you, man, draft a quarterback as often as you need to. See if he develops into an elite quarterback. If he doesn't, keep drafting. And let that guy go and sign a scab, like sign a Baker Mayfield, sign a Sam Darnold in the meantime. Somebody that you
There's so many former top 10 picks floating around.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Who've never really been on a good team, in a good situation. Yeah.
Because like, here's the thing. If you don't have an elite quarterback, what's tell me the difference between the 8th best quarterback in the NFL and the 15th? Like really,
the difference is the team around them.
The team around them, right? So
that's the difference.
If you have, right, like go find the 14th best quarterback in the NFL for cheap and build a team around him. Like
Kyler Murray. He hasn't had a lot of success, but you put him on Philly or Detroit with the best offensive line in football, I bet you he wins. Yeah. Not because he's great.
Right. Exactly.
He's good.
Or you just have to be an ace in the draft. And the 49ers are not aces in the draft. The Eagles and the Lions do a tremendous job with the draft. If you're not going to be that kind of team, if you don't have that ability to nail every draft every year, now they did a good job this year. Can they repeat that? If you don't have that ability, you can't pay quarterbacks that aren't elite. You're not going to win a Super Bowl like that. It's very rare.
And it's so interesting. I feel like the Niners and the Eagles were in a similar spot where they kind of realized we have this structure here where lots of quarterbacks can succeed here. And yet the Eagles paid their quarterback. They didn't have to. It was probably the biggest mistake they've made, and it haven't really cost them yet. But, they paid Wentz too, and it didn't cost them either. It's interesting. The Eagles are very interesting. They pay for these quarterbacks who clearly aren't great, but they put them behind great offensive lines and see what happens. They win a lot of games. And even if they go down, their backups can win. The Niners, they gave them all these weapons, but weapons got old. The defense got bad. Now it's like, this isn't necessarily like if Darnold came back to the Niners, he wouldn't necessarily play great.
Yeah. And
he could go 6-11 too.
All that being said, 49ers are going to pay Brock Purdy, I think, top 5 quarterback money. And their window is going to be reduced to this year because after that, it's going to start costing them and they're going to have to nail the draft. No question.
Yup.